Hello Space Engineers, Wellington6012 here, and welcome to episode number 6 of my tutorial series. How's everybody today? Hope you're well. So yeah, did a couple of things in between episodes. Build a desk, check out the desk, new desk, yes, and it's got a screen on it, which I put a to-do list on, which is not extensive, but you get the idea. Also, now that we've got some sort of reasonable stocks of iron, I made some steel plate and other things, and first of all finished off this floor, this little section of floor, because I like to have a solid floor under my feet. And yeah, you'll note the texture on it. It's like concrete. It's not concrete. It's still just armor blocks, same as made out of steel. But yeah, if you are interested, there are mods available which you can actually have concrete blocks, and it tends to use gravel, which is normally a waste product most of the time, to make like cement and make that. But those are mods. We're not dealing with mods. This is just a texture. To change it, if you just go into the color picker, so that's pressing the P key, and yeah, you can change the colors, either go by the slidey things, or there's the hex option, and then these are the different skins that you can use. And yeah, you'll note that there's icons on them. That means that they are part of downloadable content, and you probably need to purchase those in most cases. But yeah, so that's that. There are some shortcuts, which I won't go through right now, but yeah, there's other ways to do it as well, but that's the picker is probably the most common way. Right, so what else? I also swapped out the incomplete, unfinished build state armor blocks for the tower and replaced it with these scaffolds. So yeah, I quite like the look of that. And there's even a light so I don't crash into it. But speaking of that sort of thing, remember I said last episode, just be careful with sort of clearing out initially that the part of the drill that's not the actual drilling part, the destroying part of the drill doesn't kind of like crash into or get stuck in the voxel, so you kind of need to clear the voxel out of the way. Otherwise, we've got some weak points here and you may find that things blow up. Yeah, so I didn't keep the voxel out of the way quick enough, and it sort of ground into it and yeah, connected to it, leaned into it, whatever you want to call it, pushed into it, and it blew up. So the drill fell off. It was all complete. I just had to rebuild it, and it was actually the piston head that blew up. So it cost me a few steel tubes, but yeah, do as I say, not as I do. Right, moving on quickly, and yeah, so we'll just do some work on the automation of the mining, so we can kind of leave it to its own devices and go through some of the settings and things. We'll do that in a moment. I was just thinking kind of between, well, it was when I was doing the edit of the last episode. I was just looking at this this respawn pod and the sort of base, and I think what I'm going to do is, once we'll look at the automation, we're going to take this out because I said we would, and we're going to see about finding some ores, and we'll go through that process. But what I'm thinking is, when I come back, is that this ship in its current form is not really suitable long term for some of the things that I want to do. And one of the options that we had way back at the start of the series, the start of the playthrough, also when we sort of first came over here, which I touched on at the end of the last episode, was actually utilising the materials on the ship in other places. So not keeping it a ship, but actually utilising it elsewhere. And I think I'm going to go through the process, because we're still learning, of actually, a what if, we went down that path, because we're kind of going to have to do it anyway. So I thought maybe at this early stage we'll still go through that process. So what I'm thinking is using the metal grids that are in the thrusters to build a cargo container, a large grid one, recycling the medical components that are in the survival kit to build a survival kit on the station, which I think would be wise, because yeah, I'm still just very conscious that that's my only survival kit, and if I sort of fly this out around the place, that if we crash and that blows up, we could, and something happens to our clone, we could end up respawning somewhere completely different and have to basically start from scratch. So I think that would be the way to go. Don't know if we'll get time today. We'll just see how things go. Yeah, so that's sort of what I'm planning. And with the remnants of it, so the battery, we'll build a rover, is what I'm thinking. So we'll just see how far we can get without sort of using materials that we potentially would have made in the assembler, or potentially salvaged, or had to process. So yeah, that's what I'm thinking. But yeah, just so back to the piston and drill. So let's go through that setup. So it has gone through a full sort of sweep. So we need to set up some things to operate it. So I thought first of all we will make a sort of button panel so we can manually control things. Let's just put one of those in our toolbar, and they are down here. So we'll put that in. So there's two options. There's one which has just got, this is the original one that's just got some numbers on the panel. When you hover over it, it will tell you what it does. And then this is a newer version which has like screens on the button, so you could actually sort of program it with text or something to name the buttons. But I think we'll use this one. So yeah, let's just grab the stuff out of the build planner. So middle mouse button, and we are short some computers, so I'll do shift middle mouse button to put them into production. Let's go, and we'll change the color of this, so we'll make it the same as the rails, and we'll change the texture. So that was the P key to get into the picker. And yeah, let's just put it down there, and we'll give that a weld. And we'll use the middle mouse button again to get the rest of the stuff. And there we go. Okay, so to program this up, we can either, when we sort of select one of the buttons, press K, and that'll get us into the toolbar configuration for this particular thing. The other way we can do it is to go through the control panel, pressing K again, and then we can access it through setup actions. Okay, and yeah, so the actions that we want to put on, so we'll put the drill on off. I'll put the piston on off, and we'll do the hinge, the switch lock, unlock on off, and we'll do that for reverse. So basically we can turn the drill on and off, we can turn the piston on and off, we can lock the hinge, so when we get to sort of where we want, when things are full, we can lock the hinge, and when it gets all the way up we can hit reverse and have it come back down. So with setting the distance, so let's turn the drill on. We just press the F key to activate, and you can see it actually, when I hover over it, it does tell me what it's doing. So drill on off, so we'll turn that on, and yeah, we will. So the piston is currently set probably in negative and retracting. Let's sit in the seat again, and I might just go into this view so we can sort of see. So there's different ways to control the piston, and in this situation I just want to move it down a little bit. So first of all, let's go into the K menu, into the control panel, and we'll find the piston. So I just want to move it a set amount. So first of all, it's currently in negative, so it's retracting. So if I was to move this slider very gently, we can see that it can go that way. And then we can go into positive, and now it's sort of starting to extend. I'm going to press Control mouse button, and then I can actually enter a value, and that's probably a better way to do it, because the sliding is very hard. I was concentrating very hard not to do it too much, because if we go over, you know, more than point something of a meter, it's going to blow up things. So yeah, using that control left mouse button on the sliders, you can actually enter a value, so that's really quite useful. So yeah, we can control it with that. So if I want to just extend it a little bit more, I can make it 0.1, and then when I'm happy how far it's gone, I can make that 0, and that will stop it. So that's a good way to do it. Another way that we could do it is we could turn it off, and this is kind of what I was intending with the button panel, and then set it to what I want, which would be 0.1, and so it's currently off. So we can come out here, and we can turn the piston on, extend it however far we want, and turn it off. I'm going to go back into this. So another way, and this is quite a good way for what I'm trying to achieve here, where I'm just stepping it, is going to the piston, and I can set the maximum distance. So I'll just set it to 1.5. So again, pressing the control and the mouse button, we can enter a value on that slider. So I'm going to put it to 1.5 for this at the moment. And I'm going to turn it on. So now it's going to move at 0.1 meters per second to a maximum distance of 1.5. I think I'll make it 2 meters. I'm going to push because the drill should be able to handle that when it sweeps it back up. So I'm just going to change the distance to 2 meters, and then that should go down to 2 meters and no further. So that's quite a good way to set that. So next time when I get to the top of the swing and it goes back, I'll just change the distance again. Add another 2 on. So that's how I'm going to do it this time, but as I say, there are other ways. You can just turn it on and off, you can set the distance, all those, set the speed, all those sorts of things. Okay, so let's jump out of that. And then the next thing that I want to do is, I mean, we could just press, reverse, because we've gone all the way down here, so we press reverse on the hinge, it'll slowly go up the other way. And now we're getting stone into our refinery quite well. Now when this gets sort of full, when the system gets full, what we could do is we could lock the hinge. Then that's going to then stop the hinge. But if I'm not here, what's going to happen? Nobody's going to be here to turn the hinge lock on. I'll just turn that off again. So when it fills up, it's just going to keep drilling, but everything's going to be full, so it's just going to put all that stone to waste, which we went to all this effort of building the rig, and we're going to waste the stone. There's a new block over here that I've put in, and when I say new block, it came in a recent DLC, not the last one, but one of the recent ones. It's a free block, so everybody has access to it. And it's called the event controller. And the event controller is one of the most useful blocks in Space Engineers. It is a great addition to the game. Let's jump into it. So I'm just going to talk you through setting up for this drill, how we're doing that. But there's a whole lot of different functions that you can do, which, you know, we'll probably use again at some other point. So what it is when you reach a certain threshold or a certain event, it will trigger an action. So the event, we've got cargo filled as the default, and that's the one we're going to use today, but there's a whole lot of different events here. So we're going to stick with cargo filled, and then the condition for the cargo is equal or greater than a percentage. So I'm going to say 75%. And then I just need to identify which inventory, which cargo I want. And I'm going to say the drill. And then we need to look at the actions. So the output is action slot 1. So when that drill reaches 75% capacity, then it will trigger one of these actions. And this is slot number 1. And so what I'm going to do is when it reaches 75%, I'm going to lock the hinge. So that's going to stop it from rotating. Down the bottom here we've got these numbers 1 through 9. If I press control and one of the numbers, we can go to the next one, and I can also turn off the drill. So we can do multiple things on the one action. Now if I wanted it to turn the drill back on when it dropped below 75%, I could put it in here. I'm not going to do that because what will happen is that when this reaches 75%, it will stop. But as soon as it drops below 75%, it will turn back on. So potentially it's going to be off and then quickly back on. It's going to be a little bit jumpy, a little bit annoying, frankly. So I quite like to have one event controller set as the kind of maximum and another one set as a minimum threshold to turn it back on. So I'm just going to set this one up the same way. So cargo filled, but this time equal or less than, and I'll say 25%. So there's a bit of a range. Okay, and again, the drill, that's the one we want it to monitor. So there are some other settings that I'll talk maybe another time, but that's what I'm doing at the moment. And the actions, so we want to unlock the hinge. And number 2, we want to turn on the drill. Okay, I'll just double check that I got that other one right. It's a funny feeling I might have had that around the wrong way. greater than actions. Number 1. Hinge lock off. That should be hinge lock on. Good thing I checked that. So when that gets up to 75%, which I don't think it's going to do because it's doing a pretty good job of keeping up. So the other thing is, so to stop this drill going all the way up there, I'm going to set a maximum on the actual hinge. So let's do that. Let's go with the hinge. So it's currently going down to 14. I might set that to its lower limit. We'll make it 90. Yeah, 90 degrees. 0 degrees, sorry. 0 degrees. So now when it gets up to 0 degrees, it's going to stop, hopefully. Now the other thing that we could set up another event controller when it got up to 90 degrees. We could have that as an action to actually get it to reverse and go back the other way. But I'm not going to do that. We'll just stick with this. So now we'll go back into the piston, and I am going to say now go out to 4 meters. So that's extending out to 4 meters, and the hinge I am going to reverse. Kind of feeling like it was a waste of time building that button panel, but we're learning. So that's going down, and that is rapidly filling up. So we'll probably reach 75% soon. Ah, the system works. Well, that's still dropping, but I think it's just taking a little bit for the brake to kick in. Yes, okay, the system works, so that's cool. That's real good. Nice view from up here. Yeah, so oh, that's real good. So that'll turn back on when that empties out a bit more. Right, I think before I sort of take off and take this out, I'm going to take the survival kit off of this, and I might just do a bit of work on this. Yeah, we'll do that. I'll get rid of the connector, and I'm just going to replace the cargo container. Actually, I should probably empty the survival kit first as well. So I'll take you out, and I think we just disconnected that thing because that is hasn't got any side connection points. Right. Probably I want to put the survival kit where this connector is actually. It's probably got stone in it. Yes, it does. Okay. Maybe I put in another connector and transfer the stuff over. Connector. There's one. Okay, I don't know if that's going to stay front next year. I should probably just put a little bit of metal for it to go onto. Change the color. So we put you there, and we'll put you there, and I've got this side. Yeah, I've got the side. Okay, so that will be good. So I'll need to that. Make that, and I wonder if I could actually break this down for. Maybe I could put the stone back in there, might work. Not sure that did work.
Inventory full. Inventory full. Inventory full. Inventory full.
Must have worked. Cool. So we can use that stuff.
Inventory full. Inventory full.
Here we go. Awesome. Plan's working. Okay. And then let's put in a survival kit. Like so. And it's got a conveyor port on each end, so it will act as part of the conveyor system. And we've pretty much got all the parts we need for that. And what I can do is, now that this is in the sort of system, let's just steel plate. Now that this is in the system, we can actually go into production and get it to produce some ingots as well. So that will help a great deal to process. And the drill's back on. Awesome. The system's working. So yeah, we'll take this out for a flight, and then we'll put a cargo container in there, which I think will help things quite a bit. But yeah, let's just make a bit of space in here. So yeah, I'm sort of thinking. I don't know how much room we've got. Okay, I'm thinking that the gyroscope's going to have to move. Because I think I'll use one of these. These are another new recent update to the game, these cargo containers here. And they're proving very useful to a lot of people. Partly because of just where the access points are on them. It's a good way to sort of convert from 3 to 2. 3 by 3 to 1 by 1. So what I'll do is I'll take out this. I will move this gyroscope. And we'll pop it maybe down in there, one good spot. Oops. Really need to not use that thruster all the time. Can't reach it. Oh dear. Might have to try and fly in on our side. Yeah, there we go. There's the wheels away. And oh, now we get out. Not a problem. And yeah, then I will use one of these blocks here. Again, these are a new block, which is kind of like an adapter. Certainly, it's been a nice change to the game to have these ways of changing conveyor size, because I wouldn't say they were limited prior to these new blocks, but they certainly never quite worked the way you wanted them to. That's what new blocks do work a lot better. Okay, so let me sort this out, and then we can go for a fly. Alright, so cargo containers installed, so that's more capacity. I haven't upgraded the thrust though, so I just need to be careful that I don't fill it up too much, because our thrust to weight ratio is probably a little bit below what it needs to be at the moment. And yeah, also put the connector and landing gears on and made all the changes to the toolbars and whatnot, so it's all updated. Right, let's go find some more resource. So we know that we've got some resource under us here, some specific resources. How I knew that when I came over here is because of these black splotches on the lake. So I didn't know that there was specifically magnesium, but I knew that there was something underneath the ice because of the black splotches. So let's go and find some more black splotches. There are some over there. So these are the surface indicators to help you find ore patches. So we'll head over. Now the ore patches generally have 2 to 3 different types of ore underneath them. And once we get there, we can actually scan for this. Well, there's 2 ways. We could just dig a hole and visually find out what's in there. That will take ages. But we can also use an ore detector. So if we come over the top here, we've got an ore detector built into this respawn pod. It's that block up the top there. And this is a small grid ore detector. So if I just sort of hover over, you can see that we've got magnesium and silicon and ice. So that ice, of course, is the ice lake. Well, actually, no, hang on. This is interesting. So we've actually got 2 lots of ice. So the ore detector is picking up the ice that's on the ice lake. Lots of ice. It's picking up magnesium, which is behind us. And it's also picking up silicon. It's also picking up ice. That is not the ice that's on the lake. This is an ice deposit buried in the ground. So completely irrelevant here underneath an ice lake, because we'll just get the ice from the lake. But if you were on, say, the desert planet of Persham, or maybe in the desert here, you're quite distanced from an ice lake or a mountain, that could be really useful to you. Here, it's not really useful at all. The other thing is the ore detector does have a 50-meter range, the small grid one. So we do need to be fairly close to the surface to actually pick up these things like that. that magnesium, it actually says it's 62 meters, is in theory outside the range of our ore detector on a small grid ship. But there's probably some of that ore is actually spilling over closer, so that's why we can still see it. That's just the center of the little patch. Yeah, things like silver and gold particularly, and sometimes cobalt, can actually be quite a bit deeper. So potentially you're not actually going to pick those up. Unless you're right over the top of them, you might not pick them up with a small grid. So it is quite good to get a large grid, but there are challenges associated with that. The large grid ore detector goes up to 150 meters. Okay, I can see another ore deposit, a surface indicator, and that is if we head over here. You can see that the lime coloured grass, which I'm sort of just going around with my crosshairs, not the gold coloured, the burnt grass, but that limey grass, and not the green lush stuff. You can see that it's actually got sort of some grey splotches. It's a bit hard to tell, but there is definite grey splotches directly in front of us, which those grey splotches are not in there, and I'm not really seeing them up on the hill as such. There's pretty consistent brown and lime coloured grass, but there is definitely grey splotches in amongst them right in front of us. So that is another ore indicator for that particular type of grass. It's got a grey splotch. And that grey splotch also shows up as kind of a white colour in this gold grass that's underneath us. They call that burnt grass, and it's like desert grass. So here we have some nickel and some iron. So what I'll do is I'll actually land here and we'll jump out and we'll just have a little bit of a closer look. Just wondering whether I'll grab some iron in here. Might do actually. So we'll jump out. And I've lost the indicators. Okay, so if I want to get those indicators back, I can turn on my hand, bring out my hand drill, and my hand drill has a ore detector built into it. It's only like 30 meters, I think. So it's actually pretty much the same as the ore detector that's the small grid one. So there's not much difference between the two. Really, one you can see what you're trying to find while you're in the cockpit, and then this one while you're out, and kind of helps you get to wherever you're going. So that's how I can see it. If I put my drill away, if I want to have the ones visible that the ore detector can see, we just need to first of all go into the ore detector and make sure that broadcasting using your antennas is turned on. It always is on by default, but that could be why it's not showing. And then it doesn't have a antenna itself. We need to actually make sure the antenna in the ship is turned on. So we'll turn that on, and now we should be able to see those without a drill. Okay, so that can be quite useful with the really deep ones, if our hand drill's not picking it up, but the ship ore detector is. So let's go for a quick drill and see if we can get some iron while we're here. I'll just grab a quick sort of load of it. You can see we're getting through the soil, and then we're getting through still soil. Now we're getting into some rock, and must be just about there. And then we go. Now we are into the iron. Cool. That's going to be enough because I just wanted to kind of show you how that works. We'll just get rid of the extra stone because we don't need that. Okay, so we'll pop that in there. Just on a side note, talking about antennas. So my suit does have an antenna built into it. And in order to turn on and off that antenna, you press the O key. And you can see down the bottom left hand corner that has actually turned on the little antenna icon. So that's the one in my suit. So if I want to use my suit for any antenna related stuff, which we'll cover later, but that would need to be on. In the cockpit, that same shortcut is there. So pressing the O key, and you can hear it change on and off. And there's an icon over on the right hand side there that's turning on and off. And what that is doing is, if you go into the menu and into the antenna, you've got this enable broadcasting. So when I was pressing the O key and turning it off while in the seat, it was just disabling the broadcasting. It was still turned on, okay, but it was just disabling that. It's not really a function that you need. You probably want to just use the on-off to turn these, to stop using the antenna. But it's just something to be aware of if you do hit it by accident and you're wondering why this is turned on but you're not actually broadcasting. It's because this is selected. So it's the same shortcut. I don't know why it is that way, because you do need the shortcut for your suit, but you don't need it for the cockpit. But maybe they had to put it in for some reason. That's beyond me. Anyway, so that's just a little side note. Let's take off again and we'll just see if we can find some more ores. So we'll head over here. I probably should have marked that with a GPS, but never mind. So yeah, hopefully there is so with the grass, we're looking for a sort of black stain, same as what was on the lake. And there appears to be one there. That is definitely, just under us here, is definitely darker than what there was around. And as we get closer, you can sort of see the black splotches. And in fact, if you look behind us, that is definitely a grey mark just off my port side there. I'll move my shadow over it. So that is definitely a grey mark in that that sort of grass there, and we're just standing here. And here we have, I just saw it, cobalt and silver. So that is really good news, and it's actually quite astonishing, I'm going to say, that we can pick those up, given that they're so deep. They are very deep. Okay. I am just going to mark those. I was going to do a shortcut there, but we'll do it this way. I'm going to make a new GPS, and I'm going to call it AG for silver, and CO for cobalt. So that's good that that's there. So that's a big tick that we've found cobalt, and actually pretty close to the base. I'm not going to grab it right now because, yeah, as I say, we want to kind of do another option. But that is awesome that we found that, and actually I wasn't expecting to hear that so soon. So, right, let's keep going and we'll see if we can find another type of ore, and that is a boulder. So we'll just have to have a little bit of a fly around and see if I can spot one. I think there might be one over there. Kind of hard to see with the trees, the lot of the trees loading in. But no, that is definitely one there. Okay. Right, so these are a boulder, and these are another place that you can get resources, specific resources. This has got a blue tinge, so it's either cobalt or magnesium. And it's cobalt! Awesome, 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 awesome. So we'll just jump out and have a quick look at this. So these are quite, especially in the start of the game, they're quite useful because they are actually, you know, above the surface. So a lot easier to access. So we can grab some of that. In fact, I may even use the drill. We'll use the drill on the ship to grab some. And we'll take some back. So cobalt, now that I've got it, I don't actually need a lot of it. So it is just one of those bottlenecks that once you've got it, you're kind of right for it. Even though there's big, like this boulder is probably going to be enough cobalt to see me right for majority of what I'm going to do in this tutorial series. So I might just make a GPS for this, which 61Ks. Oh, that's not right. Okay, I know what I've done there. I think instead of doing new from current position, I did new last time. Should have been new from current position. We'll do that. Change the name here. Boulder. Okay, I'll have to go and redo that other one because, yeah, okay, that's 000. Whoops. Never mind. We'll get somebody else to fix that. Okay, let's head back over to the base, which is over in this direction somewhere. And yeah, we'll just throw these things in the refinery, but that's where I think we will call it for today. I think I've covered enough bits and pieces. And yeah, next time we can kind of use the cobalt and things. Alright, so I'll just grab a little bit of this out for demonstration purposes. So I did go and grab a little bit of silver while I was over there fixing that GPS. So let's we run out of stone because that's sort of reached its limit and not doing anything. In fact, let's just turn that off. Drill off. Okay. Yes, so if we go down first of all to the survival kit, I will put the iron in the survival kit. Does not take the iron. Does not take the cobalt. Does not take the silver. So we can only put stone in the survival kit. The refinery, we can do iron. We know we can do iron. And that's processing now. It was pretty quick to process, so it didn't take long for that 100. And now if we put cobalt in, a lot slower. So yeah, that's going to take a little while to chug through and process. So that's why we'll probably just leave that drill off for the time being, since we have lots of iron. And then the silver does not go into the basic refinery. We need another tier of refinery, so that's so this is a basic refinery. The next tier is a refinery, sometimes called an advanced refinery, but pretty much referred to in the game as refinery. And yeah, we'll need one of those for silver, gold, platinum, and uranium. And it will also greatly improve the processing of the lesser materials, the iron, the nickel, the silicon, and the cobalt. But in order to build that, we're going to need metal grids. And in order to get metal grids, we need to process cobalt. In order to process cobalt, we need to use the basic refinery. So, as I say, there's that set progression, which you need to sort of go through. Right, so yeah, that's I think where I'm going to leave it. Just one other thing, as I was coming back from the silver over there, I spotted just up on the hill behind me a boulder. I didn't need to go flying all the way over there, sort of 5k's away, because there was one here which has, what did it have? Silicon. So, not very useful, but for demonstration purposes. It does show you that depending on what type of terrain you're on, whether you're on the grass, which is sort of a deserty thing, you get the kind of desert stone, whereas if you're on the lush stuff, you get more of a mountain stone. Anyway, that is where I'm going to leave it today. I think I've got through what I wanted to get through. As I say, next time, I think we'll build a rover, and we'll just try and build it without actually tapping into some of the materials that we can make now, using the cobalt, using the assembler. But we'll just see how we go without those materials. We need to make a rover anyway, so let's just sort of go back in time a little bit, back to one of those decision-making points, back over in that valley over the hill, back in episode 1 or 2. And just follow that process then. Once we've done that, tick that box, we'll get into just using resources, how we're meant to use resources. But enough of that. Thank you everybody for joining me today. I hope you did enjoy today's episode and can join me again next time. And until next time, as always, stay safe out there everybody, and have a good one.